Good morning, viewers at home. Welcome to the program Superdawn. I am Vera Super with you on this edition of the program. Well, I'm not alone. We have Anthony, but he will be with us shortly. Today on this program, we want to look at what happened yesterday. Yes, the National Security Advisor, Colonel Dasuki Sambo, was released, was granted bail with 200 million. We're going to be looking at that with our guest this morning. And of course, we'll go through the papers, also open the phone lines for you to call and make your contributions. First, it's going to be a different one this morning. We'll be starting with our guest, then we'll move to the newspaper review. We'll go on this break right now, and when we come back, we have Barrister Tony Daniel in the studios. We'll be right back.
Superdawn, your daily live current affairs program where topical issues that border on politics, economy, sport, and sizzling national issues are analyzed, now holds every Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Superscreen television. Let your voice be heard. Join us.
Welcome back. Well, the ex-NFA, that's the National Security Advisor, Colonel Sambo Dasuki, got bail yesterday. And it's not the first time. This is the 9th time that is coming, and we want to look at it. Will this be the final bail, and what does this send out to international bodies and also to Nigerians? Well, we have a guest in the studios this morning, Barrister Tony Daniel, with us. Good morning to you, Barrister.
Good morning, Vera, and good morning, viewers.
Well, so we're looking at what happened yesterday at the High Court, the Federal High Court. This is the 9th time it's coming. What's your take?
Well, this is an instance of where the federal government, under the current administration, has deliberately refused to comply with an order of a competent court. I hope that, given the fact that 2019 is by the corner and the significance of that year, I hope that this government will want to obey the orders. It is most improper to disobey court orders. If you disobey court orders, you are inviting anarchy. People will feel they should use self-help instead of going to court. If the federal government is not satisfied with the order of the court or the judgment of the court, they should file an appeal. They should quickly file an appeal. It is better than being seen to be deliberately disobeying the court order.
Is it operation of the law? If it's continued detention while he was there, was that an operation of the law?
It's very wrong. But you see, we have all spoken against it. A host of other lawyers have spoken. You don't need to push somebody to obey a court order. That is why the judiciary does not have their own police to execute their order. They still rely on the executive, which is the normal police. And who are you going to arrest for contempt now? You see, because in civilized climes, you obey court orders naturally. You don't need to be instigated, you don't need to be pushed, you don't need to be forced. Once the order is given, the moment you are aware of the order, you must comply with the order. But in this case, particularly in this Dasuki's case, I don't know, probably the fear that he might escape or he might abscond or abuse bail terms. I mean, I expect that they should make the terms, if they are not satisfied with the terms of bail, they should file an appeal and probably convince the Court of Appeal that for so reasons, stronger terms should be used. The highest, the worst crime you can commit on heart is murder, according to the law. And despite that, even if you commit the offense of murder or you are alleged to have committed the offense of murder and you are on trial, the High Court has the power, either the Federal High Court or the State High Court. Most often, if it is murder, the State High Court have the power to grant you bail, you know. And in this case, I don't know if they have charged, if he's alleged to have committed murder. I think it is all about the money he distributed. And
the arms, the firearms.
And he was seen with firearms. 2.1
yes,
that is a capital offense, but it is not murder. You understand? And the High Court can grant bail. And the Federal High Court has granted him bail. So is it Federal High Court or the Court of the
Federal High Court?
Federal High Court, yes. So the federal government has no option than to obey that order.
Maybe we need to get educated here. Can the DSS give itself the power to melt punishment? Do they have the power to make punishment?
No. Talking about the DSS, permit me to digress a little bit. The Chief Justice of the Federation gave what we call a directive to judges and magistrates to visit police cells and prevent abuse of offices, unnecessary delay, long detention, abuse of human rights and all that. While I commend the Chief Justice for this, I want to say that the Chief Justice ought. The magistrate and judges are busy. If we go to court and they are not there, we're all angry. And if you are giving them these administrative duties, in addition to other administrative duties they are already doing, I don't know how that can be achieved. I think it is a good one, but the CJN should have extended it to notary publics and justice of peace so that these persons can visit the cell. And it shouldn't have limited it to the police. It should have been that all agencies that can arrest and prosecute, and these agencies include the NDLEA, the DSS, the EFCC, the ICPC, and any other agencies that can arrest and prosecute, including the customs. Then the military too, anytime they have a civilian in their cell, they should report within 24 hours or 48 hours maximum why they are keeping a civilian in their cell. So that is what the CJN is supposed to have done. Expand it and include other lawyers that have been specially recognized by way of justice of peace, notary public, even specially appointed persons. Give them the power to visit the cell. Don't limit it to magistrate or judge.
Okay, look at what happened in that 2015 up till date, because it was alleged that he diverted about $2.1 billion and 18-count charge. We want to ask, when the president was asked in 2015, after the first court gave him bail, he said he might run away with also, you know, Kanu too had issues like that. Do you think the president is not right? Do you think he's wrong about it? But I'll allow you answer. We'll go on this quick break. We'll be right back.
Superdawn, your daily live current affairs program where topical issues that border on politics, economy, sport, and sizzling national issues are analyzed, now holds every Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. on Superscreen television. Let your voice be heard. Join us.
Welcome back. Well, before we went on that break, I was asking our guest, was the president right after all? If they had released him earlier than now, maybe he would have run away, because that was what the president said in 2015.
Yes, there are certain persons that are potentially risky to the security of the nation. Now, if that is the case with what do you call him, Dasuki, and of course, to digress a little bit, Zaki,
yes,
then the federal government should not act like they are not under pressure to obey court order. I want to put this at the doorstep of the current Attorney General of the Federation. Now, I have not seen actions that connotes that he is under pressure. Now, when he is the chief law officer of this federation, is the chief legal advisor to the president. Now, if the federal government feels Dasuki's release will constitute a risk, a security risk to the nation, they know what to do. They should, the courts will respect that. No court will release somebody when the court or the judge is convinced beyond all doubt that the person, if released, will constitute a risk to the security of this nation. Nobody will want to take that risk. But allowing it, acting like it is nothing, you cannot obey, you won't obey it, you are seen to be disobeying. You are sending the wrong message.
But do you think this government, this administration is disobeying court orders?
No. We've been going on smoothly. There are orders you give. You know, the problem is that they select the order to obey, which is wrong. Of course, to some extent, they have been obeying orders, judgment have been passed and all that. The Attorney General comes to court, and let me quickly say something too. I keep talking about the Attorney General because there was a suit we filed on NYSC to curb corruption in NYSC. There was a response from the Office of the Attorney General opposing. So I don't understand. This let's come back to this issue. The Attorney General has not been acting in a proper representative manner. He's supposed to be positively popular with the people generally, because the administration, he says, are for the people. They are supposed to do things to please the people. Now, will it please us generally to see that the administration is deliberately refusing to obey some court orders? It's not all, it's not generic. Now, if we want to look at the reasons they have canvassed openly and unofficially, security, why can't they go to court? This judgment, for instance, if you feel the terms are not good enough to secure, to assure you that Dasuki will not jump bail, then you file an appeal against the ruling of the court to the Court of Appeal and canvass argument that the bail terms is not good enough. People will see you going to court. It is, we must respect. Look at, was it not Kenya or which country that election, presidential election, the incumbent president obeyed when the election was suspended. And then, I mean, was it cancelled or suspended? And then the judge ruled that they have to conduct another election.
So are you saying that all of these actions prove that there's no respect for the rule of law?
No. You see, you cannot be in and out, appropriating and reprobating at the same time. If you want to be seen to be a proper Democrat, go all out and approve it. Then you cannot, my problem with the administration is, in respect of this, is they select the judgment they want to comply with. It's not supposed to be like that. It's not supposed to be like that. Dasuki has been incarcerated since 15, and some of the money funds he was alleged to have embezzled or diverted have been traced and recovered from other persons to whom he disbursed them. Yes, you know. So is it that there are more money that we are not aware of, that the government and the current administration is afraid that if Dasuki is released, he might, pervert the cause of justice or take steps to frustrate the recovery of those funds? Is that the fear? If that is the fear, go to the Court of Appeal.
Will you be surprised if they pick him up again, if he's re-arrested again, just like before? I know this is how many times now this has been going on, and he's still taken back to detention. What will you say if tomorrow comes and, hey, he's been taken away again?
This brings me to one very important issue. The police and other security agencies, they have the right to arrest if there are fresh allegations. Now, the courts usually act on the face of charges. It is proper, I hope the Chief Justice is hearing this, the court should no longer act on the face of a charge. Because one of the factors for an accused person to be released on bail is the strength of evidence. No court can tell the strength of evidence only on the face of the charge. I have a case, I've had a matter with a client at the force headquarters, not with this current police administration, where the IG have said, release this man and bring him to Lagos. The man called me that they were taking him to court in Abuja for armed robbery allegation. So you can imagine that if an armed robbery allegation is made, that's a capital offense. You understand? That is a capital offense, and the court will look at it, armed robbery, the court will not grant bail. The man goes to prison. Whereas the man is totally innocent. So looking at charges beyond what is contained in the charge sheet will help us a great deal. So a judge or a magistrate can say, what happened here? Ask questions. Don't just say, oh, bail, okay, you are granted bail. They look at it. I've done a case, EFCC matter, 1.8 billion, naira dot check, whereas there was no transaction. Any person that sees that 1.8 billion, the judge granted bail and took it back because the conditions were so onerous. And when I came into the matter, I took witnesses so that the judge will appreciate the fact that there is no case there. There is rubbish. the judge granted bail, reviewed the bail, and the wife of the guy took him on bail. So what I'm trying to say is that if Dasuki or any person is arrested, the court should learn to look beyond the face of the charge sheet and try to discover what happened. Because most of the time, charges are meant vendetta, just to abuse of office and all that. So if the authority comes up with any other allegation and use that to justify the rearrest, that is if they comply with the order to release him anyway in the first place, and they justify the rearrest, the court should look beyond the papers they are presented, because they can't detain him more than the time permitted by the Constitution.
Okay, finally, keeping him for over 2 years. What does this say about the judiciary?
It's not the judiciary. The judiciary has done its job. It's the executive. It's the executive. And of course...
Will people trust the judiciary? Will they, with what is happening right now, can people trust them?
It is the executive that is creating this problem. Because if... Well, let us not forget the fact that this is a one-off case. Executive generally, I am impressed. But this particular Dasuki case, Zaki's case...
Zaki's case is there. We have Kanu cases also there.
Exactly.
Where,
No.
Yes.
You see... There are certain persons that the federal government could say constitute a risk to the security of the whole nation. You understand? The courts will not allow that person to go. Even some persons are kept in custody to protect them. Now, if you deliberately disobey court orders, particularly when you are constitutionally constitutionally empowered to enhance the execution of court orders or enhance the compliance with court orders, then you are creating room for anarchy.
So what advice do you have for the government? We must wrap up now, because I know you're rushing to court.
The advice I have for the federal government is, I don't know, the Attorney General of the Federation, what is he doing about this? We are not hearing anything. He's not acting like he's under pressure. He's not saying anything. What I expect the Attorney General to do, we have seen the court order, we are going to file an appeal, we have filed an appeal. You see, nobody will be quarreling with the government for disobeying court order. That is my take. And then the one I said about the CGN, on the directive to visit cells and the prisons should be included so that they can visit the prisons, not only the magistrate and the judges, because these judges and magistrates are very busy.
We're going to invite you someday for that particular matter, but I want to thank you for coming on a short notice to handle these issues. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
That's Barrister Tony Daniel. But we'll go on this break now, and when we come back, don't forget that we've not taken the newspaper review. We'll quickly take the headlines, then we'll move to our next guest. We're still looking at the same topic this morning. Don't go away. Welcome back. Remember when we went on that break, when we started the program, I said that it's going to be a different twist today because the guest we had was rushing to court, so we took him first. So we go back to our format. We take the newspaper headlines alone. Then we have another guest that will be coming in. First, we go straight to the Daily Daily Sun this morning. And it says, as Osibajo summons IGP over unpaid allowances, policemen protest. And the writer here says, why we have not paid them? Force headquarters. Well, we also have federal government playing double standard with killings. Catholic bishop. Still with us, we have court grants ex-NSA Dasuki bail, order immediate release. Still in the Sun, Imo APC crisis. Okorocha coalition knows fate on Thursday. Chris Giwa take over NFF office as picnics kicks. Finally from here, fuel explosion. Lagos to prosecute tankers, owners, drivers. I can't wait for that to happen. Away from the Daily Sun, we're moving to the News Telegraph.
From the New Telegraph we have here, Disco disconnects Imo government house over 200 million naira debt. And this one says, comes to the writer that says, State Secretariat in darkness. Government marks power firm's office for demolition. Another one says here, policemen protest unpaid allowance, barricade headquarters. And it comes with a writer that says, presidency summons IGP. PDP, Bono protest unfortunate. And this one says, nobody can save Obasanjo from persecution. And this is coming from Sage. And it comes to the writer that says, Falana, ex-presidents playing ethno-religious politics. That's coming from the senior advocates. And another headline here says, Johesu raises the alarm over victimization of health workers. And that's on page 4 of the New Telegraph. And lastly, we'll take this one that says, Saraki's chief of staff dumps APC. And that's all from the New Telegraph.
Moving away from the New Telegraph, we'll take some of the headlines in the Nation newspaper this morning. And this says, Ekiti 2018, Fayoshe alias supporters for PDP mega rally. And we have also INEC chief to governor. APC didn't hire us to rig. No plans to sack workers, says Fayemi. 200 million bail for ex-NSA Dasuki. Court sacks Kwara monarch. We have tankers fire. Lagos to conduct DNA on bodies. Confusion as ministry ordered NFF but to quit. We also have in the papers this morning, play 2. 21 suspect held. And this go on to Buhari deal with corporates. This also is saying Adeboye calls for better security. My hands are clean, says Janks. And finally, in the Nation newspaper this morning, headlines, we have policemen protest unpaid 5 months stipends. This is not accepted.
No.
Not accepted.
It's not. Okay, moving on to the Daily Trust newspaper, we have former NSA Dasuki gets 9th bail. Tanker fire victims' families submit samples for DNA test, and that's on page 25. And this one says, Buhari gets a new electoral act for accent. That's coming 2019 election. Police protest in Maiduguri over unpaid salaries. Teenage girl, mother, hack father to death. And this one says, PDP to trim number of presidential aspirants. And that's on page 13 of the Daily Trust newspaper. And that will be all from this one.
Well, that's all we can take for the newspaper headlines this morning. And we'll go on this break. When we come back, we want to look at the bail given to the former National Security Advisor to the former administration. Well, this has been going on. If you look at the past, in 2016 and in 17, the Human Rights International had queried President Muhammadu Buhari for detaining Colonel Dasuki for a long time, especially when the court has been giving orders. But we're going to look at it, and we started this morning with that, and we have a guest in the studios that will continue with that again. I don't know what your thoughts are concerning They built him. I don't know if it's still going to be rearrested again or this is the finals of all finals. But the lines will be open. You can call and let us know what your thoughts are. We'll go on the break. Coming in is our guest.
These are tips to help stay strong and healthy. Learn to do stretching exercises when you wake up. It boosts circulation and digestion and eases back pain. Studies have shown that eating a proper breakfast is one of the most positive things you can do if you're trying to lose weight. Breakfast skippers tend to gain weight. A balanced diet includes fresh fruits or fruit juice, a high-fiber breakfast cereal, low-fat milk or yogurt with wheat toast, and a boiled egg. Many people do not know how to brush their teeth properly. Improper brushing can cause much damage to your teeth and gums, as not brushing at all. Lots of people do not brush for long enough, floss, nor see a dentist regularly. Hold your toothbrush in the same way that you would hold a pencil, and brush for at least 2 minutes. This includes brushing the teeth, the junction of the teeth and gums, the tongue, and the roof of the mouth. Get your daily calcium by chugging milk or eating yogurt. It will keep your bones strong. Remember that your bone's density declines after the age of 30. You need at least 200 milligrams daily, which you should combine with magnesium, or it simply would not be absorbed. Tomato is a superstar in the fruit and vegetable pantheon. Potatoes and tomatoes contain lycopene, a powerful cancer fighter. They're also rich in vitamin C. The good news is that cooked tomatoes are also nutritious, so use them in pasta, soups and casseroles, as well as salads. Tomatoes and apples can reduce the risk of asthma and chronic lung diseases. Both contain the antioxidant courseurin. To enjoy the benefits, eat 5 apples a week or tomato every day. We need at least 90 milligrams of vitamin C per day, and the best way to get this is by eating at least 5 servings of fresh fruit and vegetables every day. So hit the oranges and guavas. Folic acid should be taken regularly by pregnant moms and people with a low immunity to disease. Folic acid prevents spina bifida in unborn babies and can play a role in cancer prevention. It is found in green leafy vegetables, liver, fruit, and brain. Vitamins help to boost immunity agent diseases. It also assists in the healing process of diseases such as measles and is recommended by the World Health Organization. Good natural sources of vitamin A are kidneys, livers, dairy products, green and yellow vegetables, pawpaw, mangoes, chili peppers, red sorrel, and the red palm oil. Do not have soft drinks or energy drinks while you're exercising. Stay properly hydrated by drinking enough water during your workout. Just don't overdo things, as drinking too much water can also be dangerous. Do not eat carbohydrates for at least an hour after exercise. This will force your body to break down fat rather than using the food you ingest. Stick to fruits and fluids during that hour, but avoid beer. Don't smoke, and if you smoke already, do everything in your power to quit. Don't buy into that granny smoked and live to be 90 crude. Not even the tobacco giants believe in it. Have a pap smear once a year. Not on our list of favorite things, but it's vital.
Welcome back. Well, we're looking at the bill that was granted to Dasuki. I said it before, went on that break in 2016 and 2017. If you look at what the Amnesty International said, they criticized this administration for not following due process and for affecting no accountability for human rights. This morning again, another guest in the studios, we have Adetokunbo Mumuni, is the Executive Director, Sarab, and also a legal practitioner. Good morning to you.
It's a pleasure being here.
Good morning to you.
Good morning. How are you?
Well, we saw how in 2015 it all started, how Colonel Dasuki was arrested and was detained. And from since then, he's gone to court and loads of shorties have been coming up, but he's been rearrested and it's been on for some time, up until yesterday where the federal government granted him another bail. With all of the stories and happenings in Nigeria, what do you think is happening?
Thank you very much. If we are in a country, we must be ready to be governed by rules. Part of the fundamental rules in Nigeria and in a democracy is that whatever a court of competent jurisdiction says, we must be ready to follow it. If indeed we are sincere that we are operating in a democracy. Now that this bail has been granted by a court of competent jurisdiction, I see no reason why the government will not follow this court order. I'm not saying that Dasuki has no case to answer, and that is not the purpose of the bail. What the court is simply saying is that in a democracy, you cannot hold anybody captive except you follow due process of law. And that, to me, must be the pervading consideration for whatever the government must do, so that people will not have any doubt as to the sincerity of this government. You see, you cannot be saying somebody has offended. What should agitate your mind is taking before due process of law, so that he has his days in court, whatever the offense he has committed. And once that happens, then we will know that we are in a democracy.
But the president said in 2015 that if he's granted bail, he might just run away. So avoid running away.
Let me tell you,
it is not the business of the president to meddle in matters of this nature. You have handed tons of file to investigators. You have handed loads of documents to ICPC, to EFCC, to other enforcers of criminal jurisprudence in Nigeria. So that is the bit that you have to do. Whatever now happens subsequently becomes the business of those whom you have handed over to. It is not your business.
Okay, when you look at this scenario, Dasuki was appealing for a public trial, but the government was appealing for a private trial. When you look at these things, what do you have to say about it?
Let me tell you. Ordinarily, when you appear before a competent jurisdiction, the trial should be open. But there are rules compelling, for whatever reason, security especially, that says a trial can be restricted. A trial can be out of the ordinary. So if the government sees that there is a reason to have a trial that is not open to the public, it is already part of Nigerian criminal jurisprudence to allow that. It is not that this government is the one that is saying this is special. It has been settled long time ago that it is possible for trial to be restricted. So if the government sees reason why the trial of Dasuki should not be open, it should advance that reason to courts of competent jurisdiction before whom Dasuki will be tried, so that the court will weigh the options and the court takes the decision. And once the court takes the decision, it becomes the binding thing.
Okay, I'm going to take you away a bit from it. It's the same thing, but I want it to be cleared.
Yes.
If you get a surety,
Yes.
and you say the surety is paying, say, 100 million to the litigation account,
Yes.
you know, and looking at this, this account, once it's not granted bail, will these monies be returned? It's an answer that I really want. Because this is not the first time.
No, let me.
If you say, bring surety, I brought the surety,
Yes.
and they rearrested him again.
Yes.
What happens to those monies that has gone into the litigation account?
Let me tell you how sureties and matters relating to it are done. When you are accused of committing an offense, if it is a bailable offense, ordinary bailable offenses are the only two things that cannot be, that you are not ordinarily entitled to pay, is murder, is arson, those serious matters. But once an offense is bailable, then the court will say, I grant this accused person bail in the sum of 2 or 1 surety in the like sum. He adds the condition. Maybe the trustee must have property somewhere, must be a civil servant. You don't pay that money immediately.
When do you pay the money?
No, you see, you are entitled to pay that money. The court will first of all ensure that you are what you have said you are worth. If you say you must be worth 200 million, there has to be verification of that amount. Then it is when the person that you have stood surety for fails to appear on any court proceedings in the matter, that is when you are entitled to forfeit all that you have promised the court. That it is not as if once they say you are surety for somebody, then you pay 200 million. No, that's not the way it is.
Okay, so you got that right.
Yes.
Then looking at these matters in front of us right now, some of this money is being alleged of has been gotten from some of the people that, you know, during confession, during investigations.
Yes.
If he was released, do you think we'll have gotten some of this information?
I don't understand what you are saying.
You know, the court granted him bail and he was rearrested again. He wasn't given that bail.
No. Let me tell you, once a court grants bail,
yes,
the court has granted it. It is not a question of whether, for some other reasons, he may be arrested for another offense.
Another charges.
Another charges. That means the offense for which he was arrested is different from this new one.
But in Dasuki's case, what happens then?
No. You see, like I continue to say, when you are, let me say this, and I want to say that this system that we operate favors those we call big men. Let me tell you, poor people have been denied bail, but nobody reports. Poor people have been granted bail and they are rearrested, nobody reports. But because Dasuki is a powerful man, that is when all these things comes into play. A lot of other common Nigerians have been granted bail, they've been rearrested. When a common man is to be arrested, he will be bundled anyhow. Nobody takes note. So the point I'm making is, once a court grants bail, the court has granted it. It is now for the person that is trying the person that is granted bail to now comply with the order of the court of competent jurisdiction.
Okay, so what's happening in the case of that?
You've not answered the question. That's what he's asking again. So why is this different?
No, you see, I don't want to hazard a guess for the government. To them, Dasuki is a security risk. But what I would say as a lawyer is that once you have charged somebody for an offense that is bailable, the person must be admitted to bail. You cannot, you see, it is not in the position of government to say I will obey this order, I will not obey this order. Once a court of competent jurisdiction makes an order clear and obvious on the face of it, you have to obey. That is the point. Okay. That the reason why the government is holding on to Dasuki, I don't know. I don't want to play a guess game. But all I know is that once you have said you are a democratic president, you must be ready to obey all the laws of the land. And it is fundamental in the laws of the land, as a democratic president, to comply and obey all laws, all orders made by court of competent jurisdiction.
Okay, Barrister, for the sake of those watching, I want you to clarify the bills. After Dasuki was arrested, a couple of times he was granted bail, but then he was not really found guilty.
No, you see, the question of guilt is a matter still far down the line. Okay. You won't be talking about the guilt of any person until that person has faced trial.
Yes.
So the question of guilt comes after full trial has taken place, after witnesses have been called, after they've been cross-examined, the back and forth between lawyers and the judge.
Before the trial, it's still an allegation, right?
Yes, good.
And that I can allege someone,
yes,
arrest someone,
yes,
and even without the person being trialed, the person will still be granted bail.
Yes, yes, yes. That's part of our law. You are entitled to, somebody can be arrested, charged with an offense. The person will still be formally tried. But the next thing we should look at is what is actually delaying Dasuki's trial. We have to ask the government. If you have said this person has committed an offense, it means you already have a ton of evidence against him to be talking about the fact that he committed an offense. So why are you not ready to take him before the court so that he will have his day in court? That is what the democratic principle means. You don't have, no government has the right to keep anybody in perpetuity.
Are you sensing impunity?
That's what I say.
Are you sensing impunity in this matter?
That is what I say. When you say somebody has committed an offense, you took him to court, the court grants him bail, and you fail to release him. That is to say you are acting terribly against the laws of the land. And that is what we call impunity.
Remember, putting in mind that we are talking about a diversion of about $2.1 billion.
No.
Remember, that's what we're talking about.
Good.
Arms fraud. Money that was supposed to be given or supposed to procure arms
you see,
for security of life and property. Are you saying that the government is actually wrong putting him in detention?
No. You see, anybody will be in detention subject to the laws of the land. If you must put somebody in detention and the court says, I've granted him bail, you are not the one to talk about bail. It is for people that are independent of the prosecutors and the accused to determine the issue of bail. And the court has said, I grant him bail. That is the only way to go in a democracy. You see, like I continue to say, when people jettison law and they fall into the same situation subsequently, they will be canvassing law. So when you want to canvass law at all times, you must also be ready to abide by the orders of court.
But then the court has made its orders and it was being disobeyed by the federal government. Does this mean that the judicial system in Nigeria is not strong enough to enforce the laws?
No. You see, when the order of the court is disobeyed, you understand, there is what you call contempt proceedings. You initiate it by filing Form 48 first. You serve the appropriate authority. The appropriate person that should advise the government properly here is the Attorney General of the Federation, is the Chief Law Officer of the Federation. Serve him for 48. After 48 hours, you serve him for 49. Form 48 is notice of disobedience notice of consequence of the disobedience of order of the court. And it's written like, take notice that unless you obey the order contained on the reverse side of this paper, you shall be deemed to have committed contempt and shall be liable to be sent to prison. 48 hours thereafter, if you don't change, the person files Form 49, application for committal proceedings. When that one is filed, it is argued in court. So it is not as if the law in Nigeria has not made provisions for how to enforce its orders, how to make people against whom orders are passed to comply with it.
Nobody's filing the form.
Yes, now. Because there are procedures in the legal firmament that already makes this thing possible. I don't know what the Dasuki lawyers are waiting for. Because I, as a lawyer, if I have a court order in favor of my client, I have to see that, ensure that that order is complied with. Okay,
but looking at this situation, we also have another one on ground. We have that of El Zazaki. You remember the Shade supporters that had a clash with the army convoy. You remember that Zazaki's case. Despite the court rulings against his detention, he's still in detention. Is it the same? Are we going to apply same as that of Dasuki? Is it the same situation?
You see, to me, every order of court of competent judicial must be obeyed. When the court says release this person, they have to be released. The reason why you can justify any effective detention of any person is to detain him pursuant to the laws of the land. And when you do that, that is the only justifiable reason for you to, because the Constitution says every Nigerian citizen shall be free to move about. It is not saying that every Nigerian citizen shall be detained in perpetuity. That's not what the law says. And I, as a lawyer, I will support whatever the law says. And I will be ready to move according to what the law says. The President of Nigeria has the bounden duty and obligation to respect the order of court of.
And if it's not respected, because even in 2016, the ECOWAS court also said what is happening.
I remember.
Yeah, yes.
I remember. The court.
What is happening is illegal. So if international bodies are even saying this is illegal, you see, what does it say about our system?
It shows that we are not serious set of people. Because in saner environments, the advanced world, they will not do anything except what is in accordance with the law of the land, law of their various land. And you see, that was why when President Trump was saying, I want to bar 6 Muslim nations from entering America, it was contested up to the Supreme Court. Immediately a court said that thing should be suspended. It was suspended. That is the way to operate in a democratic society.
Okay, when coming back to the Dasuki case, we know generally in 1985,
Yes.
he allegedly arrested President Muhammadu Buhari,
Yes.
and coming down the lane in the Muslim celebration, he was arrested by President Buhari.
Yes.
Now, when you look at all of these things, would you say that this is a witch hunt or just a comeback?
You see, I don't want to go into that. As a lawyer, you are bound by evidence. Let them come and tell us that is why they are holding him. But you know that they won't admit that. That the suggestions you are making is guesswork. Because until government says the actual reason why they are holding him in spite of various court orders, that is when you start saying, this reason why you are holding me does not support the contention of the law. But I don't want to start hazarding a guess as to why he's being held. You understand? We call what you have suggested, we call them pedestrian gossips.
Barrister, when you look at all of this, and you would agree to an extent it's a human rights violation.
Yes, it's clear.
Would you say that human rights practitioners, activists are doing well enough to uphold the democratic strength of the Nigerian citizens?
You see, this is not about the responsibility of human rights lawyers. It is the business of the lawyers to the Dasukis of this world to ensure that that order is complied with. When you have a client, you should know how to defend and uphold his rights under the law. I've told you there are procedures. You simply file an application for contempt against the Attorney General of the Federation.
Okay, but you are talking about a particular lawyer filing.
Yes.
We expected, if it was not well done, we expected that lawyers in Nigeria should have protested.
No.
But that didn't happen. And why it didn't happen is why we're asking.
Let me tell you. Nigerian lawyers are not known to protest the violation of the right of one person. I've told you, series of people have been arrested, they've been dealt with contrary to law. Poor people. What did Nigerian lawyers do in respect of those poor people? How would they now be saying, this Dasuki, we want to kill ourselves? You see, until we get to a situation where the violation of the right of one person is made the business of every other person, that is when we start talking about that type of situation. It is not possible for the average Nigerian lawyer to be talking about Dasuki's matter when that particular lawyer is not Dasuki's lawyer.
Okay, now Dasuki, a lot of people have said that he does not have right to ask for general damages, to go to court and ask for general. Does he have right to say my right has been infringed upon and I need to some amount?
You see, I don't know who came up with that argument that he has no right to ask for damages. Once your right is violated, once your right is violated, even after you have been released, you can still go to court and seek and enforce those rights that have been violated. Then you seek damages. Once there is injury, there is, you see, you don't talk about physical injury. Psychological, traumatic injuries is even so serious than physical injury sometimes. And you have a right in law to ask for damages once your right has been violated.
Are you part of the opinion that this is coming in, the release is coming in because the election is around the bend?
That the election is close by should not be a basis for deciding to violate the right of Nigerians. If we say we are operating in democracy. As a matter of fact, when the elections are coming up, should even be the time when Nigerians should enjoy more freedom. If the person at the end of affairs is a serious person.
Okay, looking at the bail grants, we know that he was alleged of money laundering,
yes,
a huge amount of money, sidelining it into his personal gains. When you look at that amount of money, would you say that the amount of money that was granted as a bill is good enough as a verdict?
Let me tell you the principle behind the granting of bail. A bail is not supposed to be punitive. That's not the idea of bail. A bail is supposed to be granted so that the accused person attends his trial. That's the purpose of bail. It is not supposed to be punishing. As a matter of fact, when a particular high court judge grants bail and makes it excessive, a lawyer of that person can go to the court of appeal and have the bail reduced further, because the purpose of bail is merely to ensure that the accused person attends court to attend his trial. It is not to be punitive. If you are saying he was alleged to have stolen $2.1 billion,
yes.
So are you expecting that when bail is to be granted, the surety should be worth $2.1 billion? That's not the idea about bail granting. I know and I've read about the philosophy of bail granting, and I know that it is fundamental that a bail must not be punitive.
Okay, I don't want us to just center on this administration alone. Going backwards, looking at where we're coming from and where we're at right today, what would you say concerning democracy in Nigeria, especially with all of these happenings?
You see, to me, I would say that we are in a democracy is one plus for us, but that we are not practicing democracy as should be practiced. It's there for everyone of us to see that we are not actually in pure, undiluted democratic experiment now.
Why are you describing it that way?
Because all the things that we must see in a democracy, we are not seeing.
Like?
Adherence to the rule of law, which means every court of competent jurisdiction that makes an order, that order must be obeyed. It is fundamental in democracy.
What else have you not seen?
You see, it is because Dasuki was one of the powerful men in the days gone by. That's why we are focusing on it. There are a lot of violations, not even by the federal government, but by various state governments.
Okay, when you look at the arms of government, you know, there is the judiciary, the executive and legislative. We know that recently there have been this controversy between the executive and the legislature. Would you say
controversy between the legislature and the executive about what?
The budget, etc. But when you look at all of these things, will you say that the judiciary is being infiltrated somehow? When you look at the Ozazaki case, the Dasuki case, etc.
Infiltration of the judiciary, I don't think that is the appropriate word to use. Because there are three arms of government in Nigeria. Everybody should do and perform his role as expected under the law. The judiciary is performing its role. Dasuki has gone to court, challenged his detention. The court has said detention is unlawful. So what do you expect the judiciary to do? Ozazaki has gone to court, challenged his detention. The court has granted and said detention is illegal. So what do you expect the judiciary to do? The judiciary is merely to make pronouncements on the rights of the citizens. And the judiciary has been doing that in a manner of speaking. Judiciary has made pronouncements against the government many times over. My organization set up had won a lot of cases against the federal government. The result we have not been able to achieve, because when the court says all the names of all that have looted Nigerian economy must be disclosed, the amount recovered from them must be disclosed, the circumstance under which the amounts were recovered must be disclosed. This government has not done so. So you can't say anybody has infiltrated judiciary.
Okay, I'm going to hold you on there. There's a caller here, Makonjola. Good morning to you, Makonjola.
Good morning to you, Sylvia.
Good morning.
Really, we we should thank our government for really fighting this corruption. It can be a security risk sometimes. I finally agree with lawyers there and there to tell us about the rule of law, in which is being placed on every citizen. For them, like the question to give to Nasuki, we had they discover some political transmission in which if the government Nigeria is fine with other issues, we will go to jail. Nobody will agree to give it bail. Like why system that the center allowing CI to come with him, that they should fight the corruption and so many things with it. If our judiciary is good, somebody found with the heavy ammunition and so many things, it's a security risk to even if the court still happen to give him bail, it will be hard for the government to release him. Thank you, good morning.
Okay, thank you. You heard what he said. He was found up with some arms in his home.
You see.
To him, Makonjola said it's a security risk. So why grant someone bail?
Well, you see, bails are
because
not...
Maybe you didn't know you're a legal practitioner as well. I don't know if we put that. He's a legal practitioner, so let him answer.
No, let me tell you. Bails are not decided on the basis of facts that just arose. The principle relating to grant of bail has been established many times over earlier. We only apply principles laid earlier. Now, if the offense of being found with ammunition is not bailable, you understand, then it becomes an absolute. But we said a court of competent jurisdiction had granted him bail. So why must the government continue to hold on?
Okay, Anthony, you wanted to ask him a question before that call came in.
As regards this bill, grants and all, you're a legal practitioner. For the sake of the viewers, would you differentiate the difference between bail and fine?
You see, a fine will come after full trial are taking place and the court is making its decision. A bail, after a fine comes after full trial are taking place. The court says, I've weighed the evidence and I come to this conclusion. But for bail, it's an interlocutory matter. Bail pending trial, that's what it is. Bail pending appeal. So when a bail is granted, a trial is in prospect. But when fines are given, they constitute a final order of a court of competent jurisdiction.
Okay, but so why can't we trust this government? When they came in, said they're going to fight corruption,
yes,
they're going to see to security,
yes,
and the economy.
Yes.
And with what we have gotten so far, we've seen in this administration that we've seen where names have been mentioned. Luther's list was brought in part 1 and the part 2 of Luther's list. We've seen where we hear names of people taking monies from government coffers and put it in their private account. We've seen all of this happen. Can't we trust this government in this kind of situation?
You see, like I continue to say, I am a lawyer, and what I like dealing with are serious evidence. I don't want to rely on pedestrian gossip. Somebody took money, public money, and put it in his private pocket. That once I believe that, you see, when you say you want to try anybody, trials are not done by merely giving stories. Trials are done by substantial evidence, and that's the only way to convict anybody.
Okay, so that means someone has to prove someone.
Yes.
But then why is no one coming out to sue the federal government, sue these people that have been alleged of looting funds? Why are we just keeping quiet?
No, let me tell you. Suing you have a right, but there are categories of suits. Nigerian law does not give every Nigerian the right to sue just like that. When you want to say somebody has stolen money, you understand? You simply give your information to the government. It is the government that has the wherewithal and the power to sue criminal matters. It's only civil suit that you can maintain, like that's okay did, saying my detention was illegal, like El Zakzaki did, saying my detention is illegal. So a private person cannot delve into that unless it seeks the appropriate fiat of the state government. Criminal prosecution belongs to the state. It does not belong to the individual.
Okay, looking at this event is very expedient that we're going to look at our judiciary.
Yes.
What's the state of the judiciary in Nigeria today? Our state of our judiciary. If a judiciary is giving results, I'm talking about all of these bills, bailable offenses, are they granted bail and bail not, the government not adhered, they're not adhering to the bail's condition and the rest of it. What does it say? What is the state of Nigerian judiciary right now?
I would say because the judiciary got itself messed up. Just how they're sure, the man died about the age of 80 something. He was one of the best brain of the Supreme Court. He's been campaigning that we now have the eras of billionaire judges. He said, what type of business will a judge do that will fetch him billions of naira? So what we had then was, we knew that judiciary was terrible, but nobody had the temerity to face them. And that was why I respected the decision of Buhari, who more or less asked the security agent to conduct a sting operation on them. Nobody had ever dealt with judiciary that way before in Nigeria. And that is the reason why I say the difference between the present government and the previous government is that if previous government before Buhari had done a fraction of what Buhari is now doing in terms of anti-corruption all over and in judiciary, we will not be where we are now. Judiciary had been messed up earlier. I now see that a new CJ is in. He's also trying to address the issues. But what I will say is that things that will make judiciary work for the common man should be addressed. Matters of the wherewithal with which they work, so that they won't have to record proceedings in long hands. In America and Britain, when you appear before a judge, he simply listens. There are automatic recorders. He will not be the one to be putting it verbatim. Nobody does verbatim recording in this modern age and time. I believe that judiciary is getting back to reality, because the first issue is, are you doing the work that you are assigned to do? And I believe that these days, judiciary has been making pronouncements. That is the bit that judiciary can do. It is now the business of whoever has pronouncement made in its favor to ensure that those things make sense.
What about delayed cases? We still have loads of cases in the...
Good. You see, that is part of the general system, part of the problem of our administration of criminal justice system. Cases stay long in court, but I believe that with the introduction of Administration of Criminal Justice Act 2015, that had made it more or less a rule that no interlocutory appeals can be taken. You wait and file everything together as a complete whole on appeal, so that no little point is taken to the Supreme Court. That, I think, is a step in the right direction.
So you are comparing the Buhari administration and Jonathan's administration?
No, I'm not.
But there's a caller here. Hello, Kayode. Good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning.
Yes.
Yes.
I want to ask you, if someone somebody was wrong and he is getting
Can I have that?
I didn't. We didn't get that.
Hello?
Hello?
Yes.
A gun and he is not getting
Who?
a gun.
A gun?
A what?
A
Governor.
gun runner. Person with gun, selling gun.
Gun runner.
Yes.
Who is a gun runner?
No, he's saying,
Hello?
hello?
Yes.
Yes?
A gun runner.
Okay, whether a gun runner, is that what you are saying?
Yes.
Can be granted bail. You see?
Okay.
You see?
Thank you.
Thank you. You see, when you talk about categories of offenses, the law regards as certain offenses as serious, such that bails are not ordinarily grantable. But there are offenses which the court considers minor. Those ones are ordinarily granted bail. A gun running situation, because if you do gun running, you are likely to commit a lot of other offenses. So ordinarily, that one is not ordinarily granted bail. You see, bail is supposed to be granted in the interim to ensure that that person stands his trial. A gun runner will not ordinarily be granted bail, but in certain situations, bail may be granted. If that gun runner falls seriously sick, that may be a basis for granting him bail, so that he will still be alive to face his trial. So the rule about bail of a gun runner is that he will not be ordinarily granted bail, but in exceptional circumstances, bail may be granted.
Okay, so you were talking about if Jonathan did a fraction of what...
No, I'm not talking about Jonathan. a lot of regimes had taken place before Buhari.
Okay.
Jonathan was one. Yar'Adua was one. Obasanjo was one. The PDP government had ruled since 1999. If they had drawn a fraction
Yes.
of what Buhari is doing now in terms of anti-corruption, we won't be where we are now.
So
you
are commending President Buhari
Yes.
on the anti-corruption fight against corruption.
Yes.
You're saying that he has done well.
I
what you're
say
saying?
on the scale of 100, I will give him 70%.
70%.
Yes.
Okay. Let's come into the justice, the judges,
Yes.
and their worth, how much they've had and how much they've been able to acquire in terms of properties and the rest and the likes. And you said President Buhari implemented a process that made, that insinuated some kind of investigations into the matters of these justices and judges. Would you say that these judges generally, normally in Nigeria, are well paid enough to withstand bribery and corruption?
Good. You see, let me say this about judges. A person who says, I want to become a judge, cannot be contesting the turf with a lawyer who says, I want to be in private practice. A lawyer who in private practice is in his business to make money. So once you have taken the position of a judge, by selection decided to say, I want to serve the state. And a judge is supposed to be the vice regent of God on earth. When you say you are a judge, you have said, I want to be performing the work of God on earth. And if that is so, money making should not be your business. If you want to make money, you should be in private practice. That's why I said a judge cannot be saying, I cannot be comparing himself to a lawyer. Because once a lawyer is in practice, he's in there to make money. All that I would say is that currently the remuneration of judges in Nigeria had been far on the higher side, at least within the last 15 years. You understand? So that point is clear to me. Judges now are better
well
paid.
paid.
They are better paid.
So
I can't say they are well paid. They are better paid.
But looking at it now, about rounding off this discussion, if we wake up tomorrow and Dasuki now is rearrested, what would be your thought? If the another charges comes up again, just like it usually come up.
You see, if Dasuki was released today and rearrested tomorrow, there will be two things. I want to challenge the sincerity of the new charge, because a government has the right to say that was not the earlier charge, this is a new charge. Or the alternative is to say that this government is not serious about following due process.
Okay, we must wrap up now. Final word. Looking at Dasuki's case, we also have El Dazaki. Dazaki has been granted bail 200 million. We also have Zazaki. El Zazaki. So final words from you.
I will simply say that this government is a democratic government. It must be ready to obey orders made by all courts of constitution in Nigeria.
I want to thank the executive director of SARAF. Thank you so much. And a legal practitioner.
Thank you very much, Barrister.
Thank you for coming on this segment of the program. Well, up next is Superdawn Sports, and something happened yesterday, very interesting. Belgium and Japan. We saw where Japan was leading. I particularly was excited, thinking that Japan will win that match, but it turned out differently. We'll go on a break now. When we come back, we'll discuss sports. Stay with us. Welcome back. We're discussing sports. Anthony Osagbovu. Anthony, yesterday, something dramatic happened, and it does happen in football.
In football.
Where I saw Japan taking that point, the 3 extra points again. But there's always a but in football, just like Nigeria, but went away from that tournament. Yesterday we saw Japan got 2. At this point, Belgium was 0. But after the second half, Belgium decided to build Belgium.
Yes.
And we saw them play football. From 2-0, it led us to 3-2. That was a fantastic happening. I would say
that's a good approach.
They meant business, and they are ready for the World Cup.
Well, you see, in football, you have 2 halves, right? You don't really base your facts on the first half. You know, most times I think it's kind of like a strategy. And when you see a team losing, I think that's a push for it. You go back, you re-strategize, you coach, you motivate yourselves, and you strike back.
Anthony,
and that's exactly what happened.
He's beginning to love the game. He's beginning to love the game.
Influenced by my boss.
Well, in football, you can take all your strengths in the first half because there's something they call defensive method. If they score you 2-0 in the first half, you must be careful.
You have to give it all you have.
Yeah, so I disagree with your first analysis.
Okay.
The first half you can put all in all. But the second half is a second half where even when you're defeated in the first half, there's going to be a restructuring. And that was what happened yesterday.
That was what happened. Thank you very much.
We saw what happened yesterday, and we saw Belgium saying, we are bigger than, who are the Japan? Japanese.
Belgium,
These are Japan. Belgium. I was shocked. I said,
very big congrats to Belgium,
surprises in football when we started watching that game. And KG, my colleague, said to us, this is in for a surprise. But we were turned around when we saw Belgium took over the stage. And I like that tenacity, aggressiveness in the play of football.
That is it. The aggressiveness was just
there.
It was vivid. It was...
But I didn't say it happen.
Well, anyway, kudos to Super Eagles, though. I would always continue to commend the Super Eagles, though they could only do better. Coming into this, well, congrats to Belgium. They did well. It was a fantastic.
I love that ball. I love it.
Then
I'd give it up.
Japan is going home.
No, I'd love that. But next time, Nigeria, we played football in this World Cup, I must say. And we're not only the ones that is disappointed. We saw Messi carry his bag and baggages. Wow. Ronaldo. Wow. So it's not just a Nigeria thing. It's just a football spirit. But that doesn't say we shouldn't watch football. It is football. It's interesting, and it's Russia 2018.
That is it. And this is like the most anticipated World Cup ever. And I can't even believe I myself am participating in this. Well, but then you would, when you look at the analysis, the coach, Super Eagles coach, attributed the loss, Super Eagles loss, to inexperience of the players. So I could only say, I could only say, that's what he said. That was what he said. But then if we agree with that, then come on. It's just we still have subsequent World Cups matches to play. I disagree
with him. I think as a leader, you take the bulk. I think official had it, was against us. If you watch the match, I read the match.
True.
I watched
the referee
I watched our matches, and I saw that they were just unfair to us. But I saw a lacuna. I saw an opening where, when we even got it, when we were leading, we were too relaxed.
That
you know,
is it.
And I think that we need to go to the drawing board, and Nation Cup is around the corner as well. We need to go into the drawing